My name's Howard. Howard Earl.
Yeah. And where were you born?
In Sheffield.
Okay. Obviously you can't remember that, but well, what's your first memory, like say from school? Perhaps going to school, and where was it?
Going to school, it was Sheffield C of E Infant School. And yeah, I remember the first day, walked in, didn't know how to do anything, and the class was already going. It wasn't like a new class, so I was sort of absorbed into another one. And I remember I had no experience of trying to write, and I remember trying to do the letters as they're printed in a book. Instead of the way you normally print them, you have to, there's a particular way they're printed in a book.
Yes.
And like the A's are quite an odd shape in a book compared to the way you would normally print them. So I was trying to do that. I got told off by the teacher for trying to do it in this elaborate way. Also, the other thing I remember, it probably affected my mathematical capabilities for years. There was a contraption in the corner which was like a hoopla, and you got a ring and you had to kind of throw the ring into the corner, and whatever you sort of landed it on, it was an addition, multiplication, take away, or division. Well, I was all right with adding up, but the others sort of frightened the life out of me. So what did you aim for? You aimed for the ones that you could do.
That sounds fun. Where was the Sheffield Church of England School?
It was, at the top of it was. Well, I can't think what the name of the road was it was on, but it was near High Store School where that is now, very close to that. Yeah, I'm not sure if it still exists or not actually, but it was up there. Yeah, I didn't live there. I lived in Nether Edge.
Right.
So how I ended up getting on the bus going up there, I don't know.
It was bus every day, was it? And
Yes,
bus,
yes.
Do you have any memories of that? And
Oh yes.
yeah. What sort of things?
Yeah, I remember my mum used to take me, I think, for a while, and then one day she decided I was big enough to go on my own, come back on my own. Well, she took me up and she said, "This is where you catch the bus home." I was probably 5 still, and I said, "Here," having a very literal mind. Yes, here. But what she actually meant was the bus stop on the other side of the road to where we were standing.
You meant that piece of ground.
Exactly. So I got on the bus where she said, and of course it was going in the same direction as when I got off it in the morning, so it went off in the wrong direction. I didn't know. I sat on this bus till I got to the terminus. Yeah. And my dad came back, it seemed hours later, to pick me up. So.
Very, very scary. Yeah. What was moving swiftly on through school, first day of work? What's your memories of your first day of work, and where was it?
Well, my father had a company, and he was in the steel business.
Right.
And I think the first time, the day of work really, there was a bit of a rebellion at his firm because he got some management consultants in and frightened everybody to death, and they all sort of abandoned ship. So I turned up and I was in this very old-fashioned office trying to do stuff I had no idea what it was, and be his right-hand man. Yeah, so that's how I started work really.
What was the firm? Do you mind saying? Or?
Yeah, it was called H.H. Earl and Son. It was on Corporation Street at the time. It had been there since the year dot. Very old-fashioned Victorian way of doing business back in the, whenever it was, 60s I suppose.
Yeah. Management revolution, that sort of time, wasn't it? Where they brought in managers to try and rationalise and make things more efficient.
It had been done very traditionally for a long time, and it really needed taking by the scruff of its neck and sorting out. And my father had some new premises built on Club Mill Road in Sheffield, and he moved the place down there. And he wanted to get things sort of into the 20th century at the same time. And I don't think at the time he had any idea of making people redundant or anything, but people were very frightened of change.
Yeah.
And there were people there that worked at that time that had walked in from, I think, Chapeltown, or further out than that, to feed the horses at a weekend. Because all the deliveries were made on a horse and cart.
Right.
So that's where it had its feet, this firm. And you know, it had to sort of revolutionise itself a little bit.
Do you remember any of the sort of characters who worked there?
There was a guy called Albert. They were very. They were probably. I don't know how old they were at the time. They seemed old to me. Very old Sheffield type characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember them in great detail, to be frank. Yeah.
Whereabouts in Corporation Street going out towards Brightside?
No, it's basically around the corner from West Bar. If you go down, it's sort of become modernised now. But if you go from West Bar down towards Neep's End, I would say.
Yeah.
It's down there.
Okay.
Down towards where the Kellam Island brewery thing is, the Fat Cat, down that way.
All that way.
Yeah.
The other thing we're interested in is the big Sheffield events and the big days where there were lots and lots of people. Do you have a memory of that sort of occasion, and where was it?
I wouldn't say I do really. I don't have a great memory of...
Ecclesall Park, that sort of thing, like fairs and things like that, if there was any...
Yeah, come to think of it, we did... there were fairs in Ecclesall Park, yeah, we used to go down and go on the rides and so on, yeah.
I guess,
but there weren't huge events in my life at the time.
If your most abiding Sheffield memory that is perhaps specifically Sheffield, I don't know.
Oh, that's very difficult to rake up at abiding Sheffield memory. I'm not sure I have one that's really worth remarking on, to be quite honest.
Okay. Well, that's all right. What you're giving us is great, because that's what we're looking for, that first day of work kind of thing. And the first day of work sounds pretty volatile.
Oh, it was.
Was there tension in the air? Was it palpable? Or?
Yeah, well, I remember my father at the time, he drove round to the houses of most people that worked at the place in order to try and...
get support.
Yeah, G them up and talk to them. But there was one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was referred to by my father as a barrack room lawyer. And he seemed to have a big influence on everybody. Most of them never did come back, which was very sad.
Yeah.
Because they'd worked there a long, long time.
Yeah.
And even as a kid, I remember going down and helping with, I don't know what we were supposed to be doing, stock taking or something. And these people have been there since Adam was a lad, really. And and really, he was a pretty easy guy to get on with, my dad, I would have said. So I don't know really what happened to...
They liked him, they didn't like the managers, that's probably what it was.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a huge firm. It was, and he was the guy in the office, basically, that... He was a bit of a... Can I say, a bit of a... He had one voice for the people he dealt with business-wise, and another. He was quite a polished sort of fellow, my father. Except when he'd be on the phone, and these fellows would be ringing up, asking for to be quiet angle and stuff like that. Very, very broad Sheffield, and my big problem when I started work, I couldn't understand anything anybody said. Yeah. But he was just as happy conversing and on that level as he was, to some captain of industry that